Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Annemarie. So let's start with a gentle meditation. So taking a couple of gentle breaths deep down into your belly. Allow your body to relax and your mind to become calm and quiet. Let's start this wonderful new day with a brand new outlook by giving myself permission to gently wipe the slate of the past clean so I can start fresh today. Let me not carry any burdens or any mistakes from the past, but let me have learned from them, and let me give myself permission to unplug from the external world for just a little while. Focus on my breathing and letting go of anything that disturbs my bit of peace. Let me become aware of the kind of thoughts that I'm creating, the noise of the ego that prevents me from being silent, that prevents me from being kind to myself. So let me simply just breathe and release as I become aware of my internal environment. And let me become aware of what I need to let go of and what I need to strengthen. So as I breathe gently, let me first become aware of any areas that I'm holding tension. And let me breathe some love and light into those areas as I release that tension and the thoughts that are holding that tension. Let me let go of the thoughts that are keeping me hostage to the behaviors of others, and the thoughts that are keeping me hostage to my own negative or limited thinking. Let me just breathe it out and give myself permission to start again. I have a right to start again. I have a right to succeed and become victorious in whatever I choose to do in life. But let me recognize the kind of thoughts that sabotage my own hard work. Let me recognize the thoughts that create so much noise that I'm not even aware that I'm sabotaging myself or allowing others to sabotage me. So let me just become aware, gently and kindly. Let me not beat myself up, as I may recognize some thoughts that have been holding me back. But let me pat myself on the back for having the courage and being willing to look at it. For I cannot change anything that I do not recognize. So this meditation is just to help me recognize, become aware of my own self-inflictions. And let me simply let go. Let me have the courage to simply breathe and release. Breathe and release. Breathe and release. As a means to start my day fresh with a new way of seeing the world. Om Shanti. So welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time you're here, welcome. I hope you get some benefit, and if you do, please remember to like, share and subscribe to help build the channel. So today I wanted to talk to you about the importance of quietening our mind, because in a world of noise, externally and internally, it's very easy to become part of the problem. And even if we try not to be, if we don't recognize the noise that's going on in our own mind, it's very easy to point the finger elsewhere and blame external people and situations when I'm not even aware that there's so much noise going on in my own mind. It's not easy, especially today with so much noise going on, to quieten the mind. It does take practice. But let me give myself permission and let me realize that I have a right to this quiet, to this bit of peace, to this bit of calm within myself, so that I can be part of the solution in the world rather than become part of the problem. So the quieter I become internally, the more I'm able to hear any messages that need to come through, because we often block ourselves from moving forward. We often block any messages coming through because the ego, the mask that we all wear, is so noisy that it drowns out any important things that need to come through. It drowns out my own peace, my own power, and it's very difficult to then come to a stop. And so when we create a negative thought about something that might be happening externally, or when we create a thought of judgment or criticism, whether it's to myself or whether it's to someone externally or to a situation, it's very difficult then to apply a full stop, because the mind is starting to now pick up speed as I'm starting to judge or criticize, whether it's externally or internally, doesn't matter. The fact is, it's the noise. And the noise creates a lot of chaos. So imagine being in the middle of a city where there's traffic everywhere and everyone's trying to push in and shove in and trying to take over, and there's lots of horns being beeped and all the rest of it. And it's very difficult to stay quiet. It's very difficult to not let the anxiety and stress take over. And we know it because we start breathing faster, we start breathing shallower, the noise gets more and more loud in the mind, and we're not paying as much attention to what's going on around us. And this is where accidents happen. And life is no different. When I'm not paying attention to what's going on inside of me, it's very easy, one, to blame someone else for my lack of peace of mind, and two, it's very easy to get caught up with other people's noisy minds. And so this noisy monkey mind starts driving us crazy, and then we start believing, well, that's how I am, that's who I am, I can't help myself, I can't stop it. And even telling myself I can't stop it, I'm not giving myself permission. I'm telling myself I'm not able to do it. When, as a matter of fact, I am a peaceful, silent soul, which is why noise is so uncomfortable for all of us. And we often, when we're so used to noise, we often look for noise because we have become so uncomfortable with the silence. Even though we want silence, we are uncomfortable with that silence because then I have to sit with my own thoughts. Then I cannot project outward and blame anyone else. And so silence doesn't mean that I don't move. It just means I learn to quieten down what's going on inside of me. And so I can move around the world within that peace. And so the more peaceful I become, the less I lose myself in losing self-respect while trying to save someone else's ego, while trying to not upset someone else. And the more quiet I become, the less I will upset others anyway. And the less I will allow others to upset me, because I can let things go that little bit easier. And so it doesn't mean that I don't do anything. I might have to start off with sitting quietly to practice quietening down my mind, to practice becoming silent. And so I need to learn to increase the silence between the thoughts. So rather than trying to tell myself, oh, I've got to slow down my thoughts, I've got to quieten down my thoughts, because the more I'm thinking about what I don't want to do, the more I'm going to create more of it, because that's what I'm focusing on. So rather than focus on, I have to quieten my mind, I have to be silent, I have to, let me just be in that space. And let me just become aware of the noise that I might be creating. And let me not beat myself up, but instead let me pat myself on the back for recognizing it. So then I can, little bit by little bit, change it. It is a process, change doesn't happen overnight. It's not an event, it's a process. And so I have to start somewhere, and I have to start by turning inward regularly throughout my day. So applying a full stop to whatever's going on and just allow myself to just turn inward and just breathe. Just for a few moments, and just allow myself to just check in and see, how am I going? Oh, wow. If I'm finding myself very busy, very noisy, I'm going to be breathing shallow, which is going to create more stress, which is going to create more noise. So recognizing that, I can then just take a couple of breaths just to steady myself, just to stabilize myself and reset myself. Even if I give myself permission to do that regularly throughout my day, then I'm not going to be like getting on a runaway train of thoughts at the start of the day, and by the end of the day I've not been able to stop, and I literally crash out into bed. But I don't sleep well because the mind will still be going. So I wake up with the same noise and I wonder why I can't relax. So giving myself that time throughout the day to just apply the brake as many times as I can throughout the day. Just like when you're in traffic, you can't just keep going. If there's a red light, you have to apply that brake because otherwise you'll end up in an accident. So it takes practice, but the more I practice it, the more my mind will become silent, become quiet. So then I can think about what I really need to do, what is important, and what the things I need to do, I'll be able to do more economically, because I will be I will need less energy to get the same amount of things done, because I'm calm, I'm quiet. So it's like having a car that hasn't been serviced regularly. It's going to take a lot more effort for the car to be functioning properly. The mind, the body is no different. So let me allow myself these quiet times, no matter where I am, to just consciously focus on, okay, let me just pay attention. Even if I'm driving, let me pay attention to what I'm actually thinking. Because how often do we go drive from A to B and can't remember how we got there? So paying attention allows me to be more economical. And so by the end of the day, I'm not as tired and I'm able to contribute a lot more into my own life and into what's happening around me. So this is how I become less of a problem and more of the solution. And the more we can each quieten down that noisy monkey mind, the more we will benefit the world, because it's like a vibration. It's like that frequency, okay? If my mind is taken up with so much noise, the bandwidth is just, there's not much bandwidth left for the silence. So let me decrease the noise so that I have more bandwidth left for the silence. And that's where the power is. That's where the calm is. That's where the peace is. That's where I'm able to think clearer. I'm able to problem solve a lot better. I'm able to just get on with things without taking anything personal, without creating judgments about anything, because I'm just quietly getting on with it. And that is what I call a quiet success. So I hope you got some benefit from today's topic, and let's finish off with a meditation. So once again, taking a couple of gentle, even breaths into your belly. Just become aware of your breathing. Check on yourself that you're not breathing into your throat, your shoulders, or your chest. But as you breathe in, your belly expands. And as you breathe out, your belly contracts. If you've been a shallow breather, know that it will take a bit of practice. So remember to not get angry with yourself, for that will just create more noise. So for now, all I want you to do is just become aware, once again, of the thoughts that you're creating. And then I want you to focus only on the silence between each thought. Let those thoughts go. Don't fight with them. Just let them go. Just become aware and breathe them out. Each time bringing your attention to that silent space between each thought. And all I want you to do is just focus on that silence. Notice how your breathing slows down. Notice how the tension in the body subsides, even just a tiny bit. And by focusing on that silence between the thoughts, your thoughts automatically decrease. And in time, with practice, the quality of your thoughts will improve. Because as you become aware of the silence, you realize that the negative thoughts or the limiting thoughts not only create noise, but that noise makes you feel uncomfortable. Because noise is not natural to the soul. And the more you focus on that silence, the more you will be in control of the type of thoughts that you create. And the more you take the reins back of your own life, of your own success, of your own victory. But remember to be gentle and kind to yourself. Because if you're used to all the noise, it does take practice. So never beat yourself up. Just become aware. Because awareness leads to calm. Awareness leads to peace. Awareness leads to silence. And within that silence lies your deepest power to live on this earth with love and light and gratitude, rather than live on this earth with fear and anger and insecurity. So gently does it, yet discipline yourself just enough to make those gentle, small, tiny changes. Don't expect big changes, because often if we make the biggest changes and if we haven't consolidated that newness in our lives, we will go back to those old habits. So tiny little baby steps, one step in front of the other. If you fall down, get back up. And give yourself the same respect as you would a baby trying to walk. You would never beat up a baby for falling down. So give yourself that same respect. And the more respect you show yourself, the more silent your mind will become. Om Shanti.